Good morning. Hi, grandkids. It's been a while since Nana's read to you, and I was hoping to maybe finish Ali Baba Berenstein this morning. And when we left off, he wasn't feeling very good. And he said he went to the living room and he turned off the TV set and he went into his bedroom, and his bedroom was a mess and he didn't feel like doing anything, and he went toward the kitchen and his head was aching and his stomach didn't feel too great and he was just not feeling good at all. Still, once in the kitchen, he remembered the hot dog in the refrigerator, and maybe he said he thought he'd feel better if he ate his lunch. So he filled a small pot with water and put the hot dog inside, and he took a slice of whole wheat bread out of the refrigerator. Too bad his mom didn't have any hot dog buns. And he got the jar of mustard from the shelf in the refrigerator door. Then he took a couple of cherry tomatoes, too. And when the water boiled and the hot dog was cooked, Ali Baba turned off the stove. He stabbed the hot dog with a fork and put it in the center of a slice of bread. He spread a thick layer of mustard on the hot dog and folded the bread in half, and he took a great big bite. It tastes pretty good, he thought. He guessed he was better cooked than he ever realized. However, when he finished eating the hot dog and the bread and the cherry tomatoes, he realized that his stomach still felt bad. His headache was still bothering him too, and his throat felt scratchier than ever. And then Ali Baba remembered what his father had said about a cup of hot tea with lemon and honey, and perhaps the tea would cure him of all his ailments. He went to the stove and saw the pot half full with water in which he cooked his hot dog, and so instead of filling the tea kettle with water, he turned on the stove and reheated the water he'd used to cook his hot dog in. Blech. He would save time by using that same water because it was still warm. And while the water boiled, Ali Baba looked for the jar of honey in the cupboard and for some lemon. He got a mug and put a teaspoonful of honey in it. Then he got a tea bag and put that in the mug too. And when the water had reboiled, he poured some on top of the honey and the tea bag. He couldn't find any lemon, so he stirred the tea and honey and water and blew on it gently, waiting for it to cool a little bit so he could drink it. Then he took a sip, and for some reason the tea had a greasy taste. It was like drinking a liquid sweetened with hot dogs. He took 2 sips and then he poured it down the drain. Why do you think it tasted like hot dogs? Because he cooked his hot dog in there. In the bathroom, Ali Baba waited, but he didn't throw up after all. He just felt like he was going to throw up. His stomach felt bad, and his head felt bad, and his throat felt bad, and he sneezed a couple of times, and his eyes watered with the effort, and he decided to lie down on his bed and rest. He had to climb over all the books in the drawers that were still on the floor. Later, when he was feeling better, he'd have to put everything back the way it was before. He laid on his bed and wished his mama would come home. It was hard work taking care of himself. It was only a half hour till Mrs. Berenstein returned home, and she was pleased with the way her meeting had gone. On the way home, she stopped for some groceries. I have some lemon to make you some tea with and honey, and it'll make you feel better. Ali Baba sat up in his bed and he said, I feel awful, Mom. Mrs. Berenstein came into the bedroom. This room looks awful, she exclaimed. What went on here while I was gone? I thought I moved the furniture around, but it doesn't fit, said Ali Baba. Did you have your lunch? Asked his mom. It was okay, but you cook better than I do. That's right. You're only 9, said Mrs. Berenstein, removing her hand from his forehead. You don't have any fever, she said, smiling at him, but you'll learn how to take care of yourself better as you get older. Later, because Ali Baba wasn't feeling too good, his parents put all the furniture back in its proper locations in his bedroom. They even put the books back on the shelves and the drawers back in the chest, and when they were finished, everything looked just as it had in the morning. Ali Baba decided he liked his room as it was, especially since nothing was on the floor waiting for him to be picked up. For supper, his mom made a pot of chicken soup. Ali Baba didn't know if chicken soup really could cure a cold, but it certainly tasted a whole lot better than a glass of chocolate syrup and the greasy tea he'd drunk earlier. There was a time enough for him to learn to be on his own when he was 10, he decided. Ali Baba and the Mystery of the Missing Circus Tickets. On Sunday morning, when Ali Baba was 9 years, 11 months, and 4 days old, his best friend, Roger Zucker, was 10 years old. As a birthday treat, Roger's parents had bought 3 tickets to the circus. Originally, the plan was for both parents to take Roger, but then Roger's little sister, Sarah, who was nicknamed Sugar, got the chicken pox. So Mrs. Zucker said she'd stay home with Sugar instead of leaving her with the babysitter. And that meant there was an extra ticket. And so Roger phoned at 9:30 in the morning and invited Ali Baba to go with him and his father to the circus. "Super!" shouted Ali Baba in the telephone. "What great luck that Sugar's gotten the chicken pox." Well, that's kind of not. Yeah. Ali Baba and Roger had both had chicken pox already. They caught it 2 years ago when the entire second grade had the disease. But Sugar, who wasn't born at the time, had not caught it then. Ali Baba did a happy little dance around the kitchen, and he loved the circus and couldn't wait till the afternoon. Then the phone rang, and it was Roger. "You didn't change your mind, did you?" said Ali Baba. Perhaps Roger was going to invite somebody else, or maybe Sugar had miraculously recovered. "No, but something terrible has happened. My mom can't find the tickets. She said they were in her pocket, but they aren't there now. Maybe she put them somewhere else," suggested Ali Baba. "No, she said she was certain that she had put them right in her pocketbook when she bought them a couple of days ago. She called the ticket office, and they told her they'd sold out all the tickets. This is the last performance, so we can't go to the circus after all." Roger sounded miserable. "This is turning out to be a rotten birthday," he said. "Wait," said Ali Baba. "I'm coming over. We're going to search your house. If they weren't stolen, we'll find them." And he hung up the phone and ran to get his jacket. "I'm going to Roger's house," he informed his mom, and then, without any further exclamation, he rushed out. Ali Baba wanted to go to the circus very much. There was something that he loved even more than the circus. He loved mysteries. And here were both at the same time. A mystery about the tickets, which if he solved it would mean he'd get to his afternoon entertainment, but he had to work fast. It was already after 10 o'clock. The circus was scheduled to begin at 2. He had less than 4 hours to locate those missing tickets. "Are you sure you put them in your pocketbook?" he grilled Mrs. Zucker. When he got to Roger's house, Mrs. Zucker was sitting at the kitchen table with the entire contents of her pocketbook spilled out on the table. There were glasses and a wallet and a small notebook and a makeup case and a package of sugarless gum. But there were no circus tickets. "I know," said Ali Baba. "You were carrying a different pocketbook when you bought the tickets." It was a good idea on his part. His mother had several pocketbooks, which she carried depending on what outfit she would wear. And Ali Baba noticed that her keys were almost always in the pocketbook that she wasn't carrying. Mrs. Zucker shook her head. "The handle just came off my other bag. I have to get it repaired or replaced. This is the only pocketbook I've used for the past 2 weeks. Roger sighed. "Where do you leave your pocketbook when you're at home?" said Ali Baba. "Did anyone else touch it? Could Sugar have taken the tickets? I don't mean she stole them, but maybe she could have taken them to play with them, couldn't she?" "I keep my pocketbook on a shelf in the closet, and she can't reach it. Besides, if she could, she wouldn't be able to open the clasp on the bag." "I'm going to go see if there's a good movie playing," said Mr. Zucker from the next room. He had the newspaper open before him and promised to take the boys to the film as a consolation. "Could you put the tickets in your pocket?" said Ali Baba. "Did you look in your coat pocket?" Mrs. Zucker gasped. "I think you're right," she said, jumping up. "I think I stuffed the tickets in my raincoat pocket. How silly of me to forget that." "So, see, here they are," she said, pulling the envelope out of the pocket. However, the envelope didn't contain the circus tickets. There were grocery coupons to get 15 and 20 cents off cat food and coffee and things like that. "How did these get into my pocket?" "This isn't my coat." "Whose coat is this?" said Ali Baba. Mrs. Zucker shrugged her shoulders. "I don't know. I guess someone took my coat from the closet and left this one instead." "How can we find out who that was?" Just then the phone rang. Mrs. Zucker went to answer it. Ali Baba and Roger looked at each other helplessly. "It's here. I have it." Mrs. Zucker shouted happily in the phone. "I'll have Roger bring it over to you right away." "Well," she said, "your worries are over. That was Rosie Relkin, and she was here last night with some of her friends for coffee and dessert, and she accidentally took the wrong raincoat when she went home. So all you have to do is drop this one off at her apartment and get mine. Did you ask her if the circuit tickets were in the pocket?" "Don't be silly. Of course the tickets are in the pocket. You'll see for yourself as soon as you get the coat." There they go. They're going to go get the coat. "Here are the tickets." "No." "Here," said Roger, exchanging the tan raincoat in his arms for the one Rosie Welkin had out. He put his hand in the pockets and immediately pulled out an envelope addressed to Kit Connors and a subway token, but there were no circus tickets. "And what's this letter doing in my mom's pocket?" "This can't be your mother's coat," Ali said. "It must belong to someone named Kit Connors." "This isn't my coat either," said Rosie. "Mine has a plaid lining. This is blue. Who do they belong to, and what about the circuit tickets? I'll bet Kit Connors took my coat, and she was at the Zuckers' apartment last night, too. Rosie said, I don't know, this is quite a tangle, but I'd really appreciate it if you'd bring this over to Kit Connors' apartment and brought my coat home. Kit only lives a block away. I wonder if we'll ever get to the circus. Maybe Kit Connors has your mom's coat, and we could find those tickets before 2 o'clock. So, Rosie Wilkins phoned to tell me you were coming, she said, and I didn't realize I'd taken the wrong one last night. And I looked now, and sure enough, I've got someone else's coat. It must be my mother's, but it might belong to Rosie Wilkins. Her coat is still missing. However, on closer inspection, the liner was different, and it was not Rosie's raincoat. I never noticed what color lining my mother's coat had. Up until now, it never mattered. Let's see, demanded Ali Baba, and he handed Ali Baba a baby pacifier. Does your sister still use one of these? No, she outgrew it ages. It's not my mom's coat either. It must be Kit Connors because they have a 6-month-old baby. Oh no, I'll bet it's Margie's. Let me give you her address. Well, anyway, they went to Margie's house and they could see Mr. Upchurch unshaven and still in his bathrobe. It must be your coat. There's a pacifier in the pocket and we can see you have a baby. A pacifier? We looked all over the house for one of the baby's pacifiers. Let me go and wash it, she shouted, and then Margie Upchurch went to her closet and took out another tan raincoat. I don't know who this belongs to, but I hope it's your mom's. And it was. They stuck their hands in the pockets and they found the tickets. So whose raincoat is this? Pointing to the other one. It isn't Rosie Wilkins, said Rogers. Muriel and Alfred Thomas were at your house last night, and they have a cat. I can't even go to their house because I have an allergy to cats, and that's who it was. To the boys, the unique coat was the one with the circuit tickets, and Ali Baba and Roger Zucker ran all the way back to the Zuckers' apartment. I'm glad you found my coat from Rosie Wilkins. We didn't get it from Rosie. What do you mean? It'll take a long time to explain, said Roger, and we've got to hurry if we're going to go get to the circus. But there was still enough time for Ali Baba to phone home and tell his parents he was going off to the circus with Roger. They also had enough time to admire Sugar's chicken pox, eat a quick lunch, and finally Mr. Zucker, Roger, and Ali Baba were off to the circus. So how does it feel being 10? Mr. Zucker asked his son as the three of them rode downtown on the bus. I don't know, Roger explained. I've been too busy all morning to think about it. We sure solved a big mystery, said Ali Baba. He felt like a real private eye. Imagine a mystery and a circus all on the same day. That was super. The end.